Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've got a really interesting set of sources from you, our listener this time, asking us to look into the life and work of a Dutch Golden Age painter. Maybe not the most famous name, but definitely someone special.
Absolutely. We're diving into Hendrick Avercamp today. You hear Rembrandt, you hear Vermeer all the time, but Avercamp, he really carved out his own fascinating niche.
Right. And looking through these sources you sent, it's clear there's a lot to unpack. Our job, as always, is to dig into this material, pull out the key insights, and really get you a feel for Avercamp, who he was, why his art's important.
And there's some intriguing angles right away. His focus, his nickname.
Definitely.
Okay.
Let's get started. So who was Hendrick Avercamp? Sources say Amsterdam, 1585 for his birth.
Yeah, but they moved pretty quickly, didn't they? To Kampen the next year, 1586.
And Kampen was basically home base for him, wasn't it? Lived there, worked there, right up until he died in 1634.
Making him, 49 years old? Yeah. Seems like Kampen was really his world.
And interestingly, his family wasn't exactly artistic.
Yeah.
Father, a pharmacist.
And his mother's father, a scholar. So yeah, painting wasn't the family trade, so to speak.
Makes his career choice stand out even more.
It really does. And, speaking of standing out, the sources jump pretty quickly to maybe the most defining personal detail about him.
You mean the fact that he was mute and probably deaf too, either from birth or very early on.
Exactly. It wasn't just a side note. It really shaped how people knew him.
Led to that nickname, De Stom van Kampen.
The Mute of Kampen.
Yeah.
You have to imagine back then.
Oh, incredibly difficult. The communication barriers. I mean, the sources suggest drawing became this absolutely crucial outlet for him. Maybe his mother even encouraged it.
It's a really powerful thought, isn't it? That visual art essentially became his language, his way to, process and share his view of the world. That's kind of crucial for looking at his paintings, I think.
So with that background, how did he actually become a professional artist? Where did he get the training?
Well, he did leave Kampen for a while, went to Amsterdam around age 18, the sources say,
Okay.
and studied there with Peter Isaacs. Now, Isaacs was mostly known for portraits and history paintings.
Which seems a bit odd, right? Considering Avercamp became famous for something totally different.
Right. He definitely didn't stick with portraits. But the sources suggest that while he was in Amsterdam, he got really interested in landscape painting.
Ah, okay.
And that's where key influences come in. People like David Vinkboons.
Vinkboons. He was a follower of Peter Bruegel the Elder, wasn't he?
Exactly. So you get that connection to the earlier Flemish style, those lively scenes packed with little figures doing things.
Right. Right.
And the other name mentioned is Gillis van Koninksloo, a Flemish landscape guy.
Known for forest scenes, I think. More dramatic landscapes.
Yeah, Koninksloo brought that detailed Flemish landscape tradition. So you combine that with the Bruegel-esque figures from Vinkboon's influence.
And you start to see Avercamp's style forming. That mix of detailed landscape and, lively human scenes. Genre painting, really.
Precisely. He blended them. Then he heads back to Kampen, maybe around 1607, maybe 1614. The sources vary a bit, and just dedicates himself to his thing.
And his thing is unmistakable when you see his paintings.
Winter. It's almost always winter. These incredibly busy scenes on frozen rivers, canals, lakes. That's Avercamp's signature.
And the sources make a really important point here. This wasn't just like an artistic choice he plucked out of thin air.
No, not at all. The timing is crucial. He was living smack dab in the middle of the coldest spell of the Little Ice Age in Europe, late 16th, early 17th century.
So those frozen canals weren't just a pretty backdrop.
They were reality. Rivers like the IJssel near Kampen would freeze solid for months. That was the actual winter world he lived in.
Which makes his paintings feel so authentic, like a direct record of that climate. And there's even a suggestion, isn't there, that his love for these skating scenes came from his own childhood, skating with his parents.
Yeah, it adds this lovely personal layer, doesn't it? Makes the cold scenes feel full of life. And when you look closely at the paintings, based on these source descriptions, you see these recurring features.
Incredibly detailed, loads of color, loads of energy, just packed with tiny, carefully painted figures.
Yes, and the colors often described as bright, but with those distinct wintry tones. Grays, pearly whites, capturing that light on snow and ice.
And the composition often has that really high horizon line, right?
Exactly. That gives him this huge stage of ice and snow to fill. He spreads out hundreds of little figures, each doing something specific.
And he sketched them outdoors, in the cold.
Apparently so. The sources say he'd make sketches out on the ice, capturing the immediacy, and then take those back to the studio to work up into the finished paintings.
Which really pushes his work beyond just landscape. It's pure genre painting, too.
Mhm.
It's all about what people are doing.
Absolutely. They're like little time capsules of Dutch life sport, fun, even work, all happening on the ice.
You see skating, obviously, but also sledding. What looks like an early form of golf.
Golf, they sometimes called it, yeah. And people moving goods on sledges, couples strolling. It's a whole world.
And sources stress this. You see everybody. Kids, adults, rich folks in fancy clothes right next to ordinary people. Burghers, commoners.
All mingling together on the frozen water. It's this kind of temporary democratic space created by the ice, a real snapshot of the community.
Okay, now here's where, for me, it gets really fascinating. The sources point out these aren't just random crowds, they're narrative-based, filled with anecdotes.
Yes.
And they explicitly mention, well, let's just say, surprising details, sometimes prurient or amusing stories hidden in plain sight.
This is the part that makes you want to zoom right in. The sources literally mention finding things like a couple maybe getting amorous hidden away somewhere.
No? Really?
Yeah, like near some bushes or boats at the edge. Or seeing bare buttocks, maybe someone falling through the ice, maybe other situations.
Okay.
Or just, a guy taking a pee out in the open.
So amongst all the cheerful skating and games, he's tucking in these very human moments. Some cheeky, some just kind of crude.
Exactly. It adds this layer of, earthy realism, humor. It reminds you that even in this picturesque setting, it's still real life, warts and all.
It turns looking at the painting into a bit of a game, trying to spot these hidden stories.
Totally. It makes them more than just pretty scenes. Maybe it's even a subtle commentary on the world he was observing so closely.
Incredible. So how did he actually do that, technically, combining these huge scenes with such tiny detail?
Well, the sources point to his mastery of aerial perspective. That's the technique painters use to create depth.
Okay, how does that work?
Basically, things closer to you are painted with richer, stronger colors and sharper details. Things further away get paler, grayer, a bit fuzzier.
Ah, right. It tricks the eye into seeing distance.
Precisely. It creates that illusion of a vast space receding into the background.
And he didn't always use canvas. I read something about paper.
Correct. Sometimes he used paper mounted on wood panels or frames. Maybe it was cheaper.
Could be.
And he'd often draw the scene first in pen and ink, right onto the paper or panel, and then paint over it.
So the drawing underneath helped keep all those tiny figures clear and defined.
Exactly. That underlying structure, those contours, they remain visible and give everything that crisp detail, even when the figures are really small.
Makes sense.
And while we mostly know him for winter, the sources do mention he occasionally painted other things, cattle, seascapes, and apparently his later work focused a bit more on atmosphere, maybe less on packing in quite so many little stories.
Okay, so given all this unique skill and vision, what was his reputation like back then? Was he popular?
Seems like he was, yeah, quite popular. The sources mentioned his works, particularly his drawings, were collected widely.
The drawings, not just paintings.
Right, especially those drawings tinted with watercolor. People would buy them burghers, maybe even commoners, and paste them into albums, like finished pictures in their own right.
That's interesting. So not just for the super wealthy, a broader appeal.
It seems so. Those lively, relatable scenes clearly resonated with people. And in terms of art history, the sources place him as a really significant figure, one of the founders, really, of that distinctive Dutch national style of painting.
Did he pass on his style? Did he have students?
He trained his nephew, Hendrick Avercamp. Didn't run a big workshop, it seems, but Barent definitely imitated his uncle's style. And he influenced another artist too, Arndt Arndts.
And we still see his work today.
Oh, definitely. Around 100 paintings are thought to survive. You'll find them in top Dutch museums like the Rijksmuseum, the Mauritshuis,
Okay.
Museum Boijmans van Beuningen in Rotterdam, but also collections all over the world. Even surprisingly, in the British Royal Collection at Windsor Castle.
Wow.
And the Rijksmuseum actually had a big exhibition focusing on him and the Little Ice Age back in 2009, 2010, I think it was. Really highlighted that connection.
So pulling all this together from the sources you shared, his personal story, the climate context, the unique focus, the incredible detail, those hidden cheeky bits, what's the big takeaway about Avercamp?
I think what this deep dive really shows is that he gives us this incredibly vibrant, incredibly human look at Dutch life during a very specific, challenging time, the Golden Age winter. It's unparalleled, really.
He managed to capture both the huge scale of the frozen landscape and the tiny individual dramas playing out within it.
Exactly. So what's it all mean? I think it's his unique focus, his ability to pack so much life and detail, including those surprising little anecdotes, into his world. That's what makes him so compelling.
And to think he did all this, despite those profound communication challenges he faced, it makes the painting seem even more remarkable, like acts of intense observation and expression.
You really feel like you could look forever and keep finding new things.
Absolutely. So, thinking about everything we've discussed from the sources you provided, what really stands out to you about Hendrick Avercamp? Is it that personal story, the artist finding his voice through pictures? Is it how he documented that whole little Ice Age phenomenon through art? Or maybe it's those hidden details, the little jokes and surprising moments that make you look twice.
It definitely leaves you thinking, like, how much of that incredible energy and detailed interaction in his paintings, given he couldn't hear or speak, was maybe a reflection of his own internal world, perhaps even amplified.
Interesting thought.
Or, think about the contrast, all this cheerful activity, the games, the skating, happening against the backdrop of a genuinely harsh climate and the ongoing 80 Years' War, which was the reality for the Netherlands his entire life. How do those things sit together?
Definitely something to mull over next time you encounter